This is Haris Kruskic, BR Live's combat sports reporter, and today we're here with All Elite Wrestling President Tony Khan. Tony, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Aaron?
I'm great. Well, thanks for joining us ahead of Full Gear this Saturday, November 7th on BR Live. You can order it on BR Live. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's a stacked card. That's one of the reasons that we wanted to talk to you, one of the reasons we wanted to bring you on and preview the entire card. So first and foremost, before we get into the card, I just wanted to ask, recently the 1-year anniversary of AEW Dynamite happened, and we just wanted to get your thoughts on the state of AEW 1 year into AEW Dynamite's existence. So how are you feeling?
I feel great. It's an awesome time for AEW. I think it's an awesome time for the wrestling business. And we've got one of our biggest pay-per-view cards ever, probably our biggest pay-per-view card ever coming up. It's just, like you said, it's a stacked show. Dynamite's been great. This week's Dynamite I'm very excited for, and the run of Dynamite coming after Full Gear is going to be great too. The rest of the year is going to be packed with great matches and surprises in AEW, and we have a lot of awesome stuff in store for everybody for the rest of 2020 and then going into 2021. I've just got some really exciting stuff up the sleeve.
We're looking forward to seeing it. I'm sure it's going to be great. So diving deep into that full Gear card now, let's just kick it off with the main event, the AEW World Championship on the line. We've got Jon Moxley, who it seems like forever now that he's had the title, that he's been the champion at AEW, taking on Eddie Kingston, and what's become kind of a personal fight and a personal meeting between these two. What are your thoughts on this main event?
It's going to be an awesome match. These two men know each other really well. It's going to be a great culmination to a great story. And I love Jon. I love Eddie. I think they're two of the best interviews in wrestling. They're also two of the most brutal men in wrestling. And I think this match is going to be brutal. Somebody's going to say, I quit. And that's a great payoff.
Moving on, we've got FTR against the Young Bucks. Sometimes I feel like saying big fight feel is overdone in wrestling, but I don't think that's the case for this match. I think this is a match that people have genuinely been anticipating for years now. We finally get to see two of perhaps the best tag teams in the world go at it. Take it away.
Years in the making. And like you said, the big fight feel is definitely here for this one. It's going to be one of the biggest matches we've ever put on. It's going to be by far the biggest tag team match we've ever promoted in AEW. And like you said, it's years in the making. It's a big fight feel, but also there's something really special here in that I think these are not only the two best tag teams in the world, clearly the two best tag teams in AEW. And I don't think either one of them really has a peer. They wrestle completely different styles. They run in different circles, but they are each the best. They each have this claim, and we'll find out at the pay-per-view. And really what's exciting is it's a match people have been waiting for years on this card that is really stacked with, as you said, dream matches. And this match is as big as any match on the card, and I'm really excited for it. I think bell to bell, this could be the match of the night.
So it seems like we're starting to kind of see a pattern. You know, last year Cody said he'd never face off for the AEW World Championship if he lost to Jericho. He lost. Now we're seeing two more VPs saying that, hey, if we lose this, we're not going to compete for the titles again either. I mean, it seems like people are getting more and more, I guess, antsy and unsure of whether or not they should fight for the championships anymore if they do lose these matches.
Well, it's a big stipulation, and I think, as you said, last year at Full Gear, we came out with a stipulation that if Chris Jericho beat Cody, and obviously he did under some pretty shady circumstances with MJF's involvement, throwing in the towel. But Jericho did win the match, and Cody has lived up to the obligation, and we have not had Cody challenge for the title in the past year. So people know we're serious about these stipulations. So here we are again. And if Matt and Nick don't win the belts this weekend, then they won't be challenging for them anymore. And there's plenty of other great opportunities here in AEW. You never know what's around the corner, but that one will not be what they'll be in the mix for after this pay-per-view if they don't win.
Next, we've got Cody against Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. Cody came back a few weeks, defeated Brody Lee in the dog collar match in what was a crazy fight. Since then, beat Orange Cassidy twice to regain the title. And Darby Allin and Cody have a lot of history dating back to last year's Fyter Fest when Cody defeated a debuting Darby. Since then, Darby hasn't really gotten the win over Cody. What can we expect from this match?
This is going to be another contender for the match of the night. It's going to be very competitive, and I can't wait to see at the end of the night what everyone's favorite matches are. This is a long time in the making for a rematch between these guys. They've had a few great matches. The last one was actually in the TNT tournament in the semifinals, and then Cody went on to challenge Lance Archer for this title at Double or Nothing. Along the way, they started this rivalry with a draw. Cody has been very supportive of Darby from the beginning of his career here in AEW. He wanted to wrestle him. He gave him that opportunity. They had the draw, and here we are. And now Cody is, the face of TNT. He's the TNT champion. He's going to be one of the stars of Go Big Show, which is a huge show coming up on TNT in early 2021. And so we have a lot invested in Cody. But here's Darby, who's another young star with a long commitment to us, who I feel like is a lifelong AEW guy, same as Cody. And they're two of our best stars. I think it's going to be one of our best matches, and definitely Cody versus Darby is one of the best rivalries in AEW, and this is going to be the biggest chapter yet.
I saw a clip of Darby Allin and Steve-O getting together, doing some Jackass-esque stunts. How did that partnership come along? Do you know?
Yeah, I mean, Darby's asked me one thing Darby's very good about is before he goes and does any of this crazy stuff, he asks for permission so that I don't get mad. And that's, to be honest, I really appreciate that because he's never put the company in a bad position. And there have been times where I've been really worried about some of the stuff he does, some of the crazy stunts, but they're his choice, and he's always run them by me. And I think in this case, working with Steve-O, that was easy. It's a great opportunity. They had become friends. I'm not sure how they first connected, but for a while he brought up, hey, I'd like to do some stuff with Steve-O. And you saw he had a cool stunt they pulled off, and I think he'd like to do more stuff like that. And I think there are opportunities outside of wrestling for Darby to be the crazy stuntman superhero that he is.
Very nice. Last, we got the final title match of the night. Hikaru Shida, the women's world champion, against Nyla Rose. These two tore down the house at Double or Nothing earlier in the year. Can we expect more of the same this time around?
Yeah, we absolutely can expect more of the same this time around. I would have liked Vicky Guerrero was unavailable, not because of illness, but because it was not anything like that. But Vicky had been unavailable to us for personal reasons between her and us that these last couple weeks. And I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of Vicky and Nyla in the build. And that's because, Vicky had said Nyla's not going to be around, not going to do anything until she gets the chance to challenge for a title. And this match is as big a match as any match on the card. They've got a great history. I'm really, really excited for it. We will see Nyla and Vicky returning to television this week ahead of the match, now that the match has been secured. So they lived up to their promise that they were going to stay away till they got this rematch, and they're back. And I think it's perfect timing now with Vicky able to come back to TV.
Next, we've got Kenny Omega against Adam Page in the final of the AEW World Championship Eliminator match, or Eliminator Tournament, excuse me. Crazy, crazy match. I know that seemed like after All Out, when these two lost their titles, that things were going to start going downhill in terms of their relationship with each other. But finally, we get this singles competition against each other. I mean, this is probably the match I'm most excited for. I truly don't know which way this one's going to go.
A lot of people have said that, and I think that's by design. I'm very excited. That's the match that a lot of people are most excited for. I can see that. It's certainly one of the matches I'm the most excited for. I can't wait for Kenny versus Hangman. It's going to be awesome. Hangman and Kenny were great tag team champions. I personally am very invested in this match. All AEW fans, I think, are very invested in this match. We followed the saga of Kenny and Hangman since the very beginning episodes of Dynamite. I mean, from the second episode on, we've had Hangman and Kenny working as a team, and it's been great. And I'm especially personally invested in it as a promoter who first paired Kenny and Hangman as a tag team. They've been a huge part of AEW. some of the greatest main events, some of the greatest shows we've had have involved them as a team. And now for them to be in one of our big main events, as rivals, as opponents, in a singles match with the title eliminator tournament at stake, I think it's awesome. And the winner of this match will get a title shot against the winner of Kingston versus Moxley. And I think that's going to be a great match too. So we have something big to look forward to right coming out of the pay-per-view. And I'm hugely excited for this match. It's a great rivalry, and we've been building to it really since the beginning of Dynamite.
This is the most brash we've seen Kenny Omega to date at AEW. What are your, I guess, biggest takeaways of that? Do you feel any certain way?
I love it. I love that Kenny's found this part of himself. I think it's great, and I fully embrace it. I think it's good for the company, and it may not be good for all the wrestlers in AEW because Kenny is a very formidable opponent. But in all seriousness, I think it's awesome. This is an aspect of Kenny I've always wanted to see. Kenny's one of the biggest wrestling stars in the world. He's a great bell-to-bell wrestler, and he carries himself with a lot of confidence. And I think for people to see him right now with this kind of confidence and on this kind of a role, it's awesome. But Hangman is also unbeaten in singles matches this year and is on an amazing role himself. Throughout the tag team, I think they had all these great matches. And not only were they these great tag team champions that have had some of the best moments in the history of the company, some of the best bouts in the history of the company, but every single match they had, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, what would happen if these guys wrestled? What would happen if Hangman wrestled Kenny? And like I said, it's been over a year in the making here in AEW. It goes back really years in the making that they've been aligned and stable, going back years before we even started. But as a tag team, it goes back to last October, 2019, and their championship reign goes back to January. I just think, I know that for a lot of people who are in this pay-per-view, this is a huge reason why, and I'm really excited for it.
And I can't believe it took this long for us to go down this card and not talk about Chris Jericho and MJF. It just goes to show how stacked this card is. But next up, Chris Jericho against MJF, two of the biggest personalities on AEW, perhaps the two biggest, one could argue. This is an intriguing match because I think generally we're used to seeing, a good guy, quote unquote, against a bad guy. But these two guys are just, they're just their own. It's hard to explain them. They're just their own characters and their own big villains. And take the words. Go ahead. I don't know what to say at this point about this match.
I'm super excited for MJF versus Jericho. To me, it's two of the greatest heels of all time, two of the greatest in-ring promos of all time. And you look at MJF in his early 20s, and the sky's the limit for him. Chris, we just celebrated 30 years in the wrestling business. So when you think about that, Max being just a small boy through most of Chris's prime, and then now we've got Chris, who really was he was still in his prime. And I think, like, for me, no wrestler's had more years on top than Chris Jericho, but no wrestler has more years on top in the future than MJF. And that's a really interesting combination to me when you see, like, all the experience that Chris has under his belt, to be a man who's probably had a 20-something year prime, to be a world champion 20 years ago and still be a world champion in 2020. It's pretty amazing. And to me, this is also one of the most exciting matches on the card. Like you said, it's a stacked card top to bottom. And I'm really excited to see what happens here in terms of the match. And I think I'm really excited for all of you to find out what happens in terms of the story. What's next with these guys? Is this going to be a rivalry? Is Max going to win this? Is Chris going to win it? Will Max join the Inner Circle or not? It's exciting stuff. And I think that's another one of our best stories right now.
How taken back were you by their musical number a couple weeks ago?
You know what's funny about that? I really enjoyed it, and I know a lot of people who did enjoy it, and I know people who didn't enjoy it, but I thought it was tremendous. Their performances in it were tremendous. it definitely got people talking. And then that showed when they pulled a huge rating the following week for last week's show with the town hall. The town hall was a little bit more of a conventional wrestling segment. It took place in the ring, and I think there was enough buzz on their stories the week before where we were able to pull a monster number for their town hall segment this past week. So I think it's great. So like I said, I mean, when you have Chris, a guy who's not only is he, like I said, still in his prime, but he's probably been in the prime of his career for 20 years. Chris is as good as he's ever been right now. And Max, the sky's the limit for Max. Now, who knows how good he can get? But right now, Max is one of the best wrestlers in the world too. So it's gonna be awesome. I think in ring, it's gonna be a great match, and the story, I think everyone's gonna really enjoy where we're gonna go here.
Next, we've got Matt Hardy taking on Sammy Guevara, continuing their long-running rivalry with each other. We know how their match at All Out went, a little bit of unfortunate circumstances there. Now they're in an elite deletion match. What are your thoughts on this one?
I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be a cinematic match. It's going to be a lot of fun. We know Matt in this environment is very dangerous in these cinematic matches, and in this particular case, he will control the environment because this match will take place in the Hardy compound. So Matt's got the home field advantage. But Sammy is awesome in these matches. And look, these guys, it's been a crazy rivalry. These guys have done so much to each other. These guys have taken so much punishment at each other's hands. And I think this is a fitting culmination to this story. We've always wanted to do this. We've always wanted this story to involve going to the Hardy compound and having these guys fight it out and doing all the crazy stuff that these guys are going to do on Saturday at Full Gear. And I think that's going to be another huge part of Saturday's show.
And if you really want to know how stacked this card is, Orange Cassidy is on the buy-in, free wrestling for people to watch against the Dark Order's John Silver. All right, this is your big pitch for people to watch and tune into the buy-in so they can buy the pay-per-view. So take it away.
Orange Cassidy is one of the most talked about people in wrestling, and this is a great chance to see an Orange Cassidy match for free, and not just any Orange Cassidy match. John Silver has become one of the most entertaining people in wrestling also in the last month. He had, in recent months, he'd really stepped up his act. And I've been excited to see John Silver tap into a side of his personality that, frankly, I've asked him to tap into, and get more of this on television. And I'm so pleased with what we've seen. There was a John Silver on Being the Elite, and there was a John Silver on Dynamite. And I told him I want to see the Being the Elite John Silver on Dynamite a while back. And so the last couple months, really, we started to see it more and more and more. And really, especially in the last month, we've seen John Silver come into his own in AEW. He's cost Orange Cassidy a couple of opportunities to have a good chance to become the TNT champion in his matches with Cody in this lumberjack match and in his match with Brody Lee, Orange Cassidy versus Brody Lee. So there's a real grudge there between the two guys. They've known each other forever. They got great chemistry, and I'm just really excited for it. I think they're both so entertaining in different ways. When you have this hateable heel like John, and Orange Cassidy is one of the most fun, entertaining people. Kids, adults alike love Orange Cassidy. He was a very popular Halloween costume this past weekend, and I think it'll be a great chance for people to check it out. There's going to be some good wrestling there. These guys aren't just entertainers. They're both great athletes, and both guys take it really seriously. So I expect that'll be a really great match. And that's how, like you said, it's how stacked the show is, that we're giving something really free to everybody of that quality. And then the card that follows is good a card top to bottom as we've ever put together.
Absolutely. So that's the card as we know it right now. Do you have any other matches to add? Should we just wait until this week's Dynamite to find out?
I think we'll see. Timing the show out, there's a lot there. I mean, if those matches hit their times, I think that's a hell of a show as it is. So we'll see. But I'm really, really excited for it. I think Saturday is going to be one of the big days in the history of the company. Pay-per-views this year have done really well for us. Even though the last couple have been in a very challenging climate for a lot of people since the pandemic started, really all of our pay-per-views this year are up from their predecessors. So Double or Nothing was up from last year's Double or Nothing, and All Out was up from last year's All Out. I would love for Full Gear to beat last year's Full Gear, and I think we can. I think we should. So on Saturday, if you like wrestling, you might really like this show. I think it's going to be probably the most loaded card we've ever put together.
There you have it, right from AEW President Tony Khan's mouth. Tony, again, thank you for joining us. Everyone that's watching, order Full Gear on BR Live. You can watch this Saturday, November 7th at 8 p.m. Eastern or 7 p.m. Eastern for the buy-in. Tony, thank you again. I appreciate your time very much.
It's great to see you, Harris. Thanks for doing this, man.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime. Hopefully, maybe again for Revolution.
Yeah, absolutely. For Revolution 2, let's do it.
There you have it. All right, everyone, keep tuning in.